Hey everybody, Kyle here. As I'm sure you can tell from my thinning hair up here, I am old people. Now, part of being old, at least for my generation, means that I can remember life before the internet. Hell, I even remember life before computers. I mean, they existed, but regular people didn't have them in their home. That would be weird. Growing up before computers and now living life with them does tend to give you kind of a perspective, like a before and after picture. Now, one of the things that I've really noticed growing up before the internet, friendships were really determined by age and location. You were friends with someone because they lived on your street, they played on some sports league as you, or they were in your class. That's how it worked. You hung out with someone because they lived on your street. They were in the same grade, or you worked together. Geography and time shaped our social bonds. The internet can bypass age and geography entirely. And because a lot of it is text-based, message forms and stuff, it also allows for asynchronous communications. So now you can have conversations with people in entirely different time zones, and it just works somehow. Because it's freed from the constraints of geography and time, you can form communities based on shared interests instead of just who happens to be convenient around you. If I were really into woodworking, for example, joining a forum or a group dedicated to woodworking would be so much more appealing than joining a hometown pride group or a people born in this particular year. Like, who cares? What do I have in common with just because we happen to be born the same month? Whatever. Now, instead of being the lone weirdo with the quirky hobbies, I'm a member of a community. It's great. And instead of slipping into complacency or even arrogance by, being the big fish in such a small pond, I'm released into a much larger pond, and my place within it is made immediately apparent to me. One interesting aspect of this is how people inside communities can respond to little nudges. I might be somewhere between a novice and a moderate with my skill level. But by being exposed to what the masters of this community are producing, I'm motivated to step up my own work and push beyond what I believe was possible. Because of these communities based around a shared interest, I can do more and go farther than I ever thought possible. And that's amazing. All it takes is a little guidance and a little nudge. Of course, there's a dark side to all this. Just like our skills and our ambitions, our opinions and biases are also susceptible to these nudges. When opinions are constantly being challenged from multiple different directions, like they are in communities that are based on geography or age, opinion-wise, it's essentially chance. And in these communities, bias is quickly chopped down before it has time to grow and spread. I can see something that you missed. You can see something that I missed. That person over there, they see something we're both missing. That's great. That's dialogue. That's how conversations should happen. But when you form a community based around a particular political ideology or social ideology, you're no longer having all your opinions challenged. Only half of the debate is being challenged. You agree with me, I'm agreeing with you, and that person over there is cheering us both on. That's how these kind of things work. Now, sometimes not having an argument or a debate is totally fine. Not every debate needs to be had. There are cases where one side truly has no merit. But you have to be extremely careful when you choose to ignore an argument outright, especially when you're inside a group based on a shared identity. Because inside those communities built around a shared opinion, it's so easy for bias to creep in or for an argument to slip through going unchallenged. And chances are you're not going to be exposed to the best possible versions of the arguments that your opponents are offering. At best, you're probably going to get exposed to a straw man version that's not even what they're trying to say. This means that bias, rather than getting challenged and chopped down, it's actually encouraged to grow and spread. People are being nudged further and further towards the fringes. So it seems like real life relationships that are built around, where you work, where you live, where you go to school, these I find tend to push people towards a common a center. Whereas digital relationships tend to push people outwards and towards various extremes. I think it's really important that we're mindful of these effects that social media can have on us. If we treat something as entirely good or entirely bad, we're not getting the whole picture. It's more complicated than that. By knowing what the advantages and the pitfalls of a system is, we can hopefully decide for ourselves what we want to expose ourselves to and how we wish to have our opinions shaped and distorted by the media we're choosing to consume. Now, if that sounds a little unsettling, the idea of being forced to choose how your perceptions will be distorted and warped, well, think about how scary it is if you don't realize this is going on. So, I encourage you to social media with caution. I wish I had a conclusion. This whole damn art series, I was focused on social media, expecting to arrive at a bold conclusion, and I just have more questions. It just feels like I could just keep scrolling forever and ever and never get anywhere. Maybe that's the point.